That's okay. Yeah.
My gosh. Well, we're getting started. We're kicking things off, and we are so excited to have Elise Atkinson on our podcast. She makes art for the money. Buckle up, everybody, because today's guest is one of my favorite humans. She's a design powerhouse. She's led accessories brands at Target. She's now a senior director at a leading home design company. And when she's not doing all of that, she's raising a family. She's running her side business On the Horizon, which is a beautiful line of art product that's basically self-care and packaging. You can think of it as creativity meets wellness with a paintbrush and canvas. She's dangerously stylish, the kind of creative leader who makes you want to step it up, stay cool and have fun, and all at the same time. We're talking about big box brilliance, side hustle sanity, making art that heals, and yes, how to turn your creativity into dollars.
What an intro. Thank you.
Please welcome to She Makes Art for the Money, Elise Atkinson.
Welcome, Elise, the podcast. She Makes Art for the Money. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Along with that amazing intro, we just had a glimpse into your life where there was some cats in the background having a little love
tussle
situation.
Tussle. Yes, and that's fine because you got the background that just allowed us to see some tails in motion.
Yeah,
so that was
in there.
I did that on purpose. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're watching this, you might see a little cat situation. So thanks for being out on the podcast. I'm just really excited to have you on here because, you worked for, like Tanya said, a big box company. That's not an easy thing to do. Most people, when they're looking for work, apply on LinkedIn or maybe they know somebody. But to get to that point, it's really, you got to get through a lot to get there. Walk us your career journey, see how you got there. Like, Elise, 24 years old, where were you? How did you get to where you are?
Thanks for the reminder of my accomplishments. I think it's easy to forget that sometimes. I was at UMass Amherst and I was a major in theater focused in costume design with a minor in apparel marketing. After I got out of college, I worked at a small boutique in downtown Boston called Amalia, which was really like career wear. And then I worked at another boutique called Georgiou. It was out of LA, and like the designer in the company who owned it was based in Greece, and they had gorgeous suiting and really, it was very unique. It fit beautifully. The materials were gorgeous. And then I went on to work at another company called Jasmine Sola, which was even like the next step up. And then from there, I'm like, I love retail, but I got to get to my goal of designing. And so I found this job at this company called Briggs. And I applied for the quality control specialist role and I got it. And I was meticulous there. And then I think I was pretty intentional about becoming close with the owner and kind of showing him my findings and things like that. He was very charming. It was a family-owned business. He was just a riot. And so one of the designers left. And soon after that, I went right into the office and was like, I want that job. And so that's how I got my first designer job, which was really a jack of all trades, everything from material to hang tags to designing clothes to, quality, you name it, I did it. And then from there, I went to work at a place called Creative Allies, and that might have been my strangest detour.
Tell us about the strange. That's
now you got it.
Creative Allies was like a place where people could meet, they could go to events together, where they were looking to do activities together. But outside of that, had a tier 2, which was like a dating, putting people together. And tier 3 was like matchmaking.
That sounds so fun.
It was, but I think like in the mix of it, that maybe this woman was trying to see like if she could pair me with somebody. Once I had that notion, I was like, I got to get the hell out of here.
You're like, I'm not one of your people.
Right.
No,
I'm trying to
no.
do a job here.
Yes, yes. And I also helped her open a bookstore. So then when I
I
left
know you're
there,
doing it all, lady. What's going on?
yeah, I mean, that was like the strangest detour. And I was like freelancing, and I was working with a company in Canada that was doing material and print and pulling collections together and merchandising them. And then I'm like, okay, I don't think freelance is for me. And that's when I came out and interviewed at Target. I started as a SWAT designer there.
What's a
And
SWAT designer?
a SWAT designer is like anytime they have open spots where someone unexpectedly leaves, or there's a new need, if they're growing a business, or someone goes on maternity or switches teams, that you kind of like go around and you can switch teams really easily. So that was good for me because I didn't know anyone, and then I got to know everybody really quickly. And so it would be like, do you want to go to this happy hour? Yes. Do you want to go to this exhibit? Yes. Do you want to go golfing? Yes. It's like, yes, yes, yes. I just said yes to everything.
So that is, I've never heard of that. So they had like a SWAT team.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're going to be on the SWAT team, like, you kind of have to have that personality and that
Yeah.
ability to like quickly adapt to what's needed. Sometimes
Yeah.
I think of it as like an actor getting into character. It's like, okay, that's not my favorite thing to design, but I can do anything.
Yeah.
That's
So-
really cool. Yeah.
And having that freelance background, that you kind of had those skills because you're used to
Yeah.
flexing and learning new things quickly. So it really was something that played on not only your design skills, but your personality skills.
I always say, I think one of the most underrated skills is being easy to work with.
For sure. For sure.
And, it's sometimes harder to find than you think.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, that must have been so hard just to even find a sensibility. Like, if you're going into a department, say you've been doing denim and all of a sudden you need someone to do sweaters, like you had to kind of just adjust your
Yeah.
thinking really quickly. Like, I am terrible at skirts, 8 skirts. So I wouldn't imagine if I had to like go and fill in for someone and like do 20 skirts, I would lose my mind.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
started
cool.
in juniors, then I went into maternity, then I went into infant toddler dresses, which was really fun. And then I had like a 9 month stint in infant toddler outerwear, which I had
Mhm.
never done. So did everything from wovens to dresses to sweaters, and like had to put the whole collection together. And Tanya, that's when you
That's
and
when we
I
met.
kind of got to know each other.
Yeah.
We got to know each other before that, but that's when we worked together.
Yeah.
So from that point, when I worked in kids, I was there for like 13 months, and then I got moved over to what was just called IHP, which was Intimates, Hosiery, and Performance at the time. And that's where I was leading the Exil brand in Intimates. And I'm like, what is there to design in bras and underwear? Again, another category that I never designed. And that's where I grew from designer to lead designer to design manager in an area that I was like, I'm not so excited about. That's where I had the most growth, and maybe had one of my best managers and people who kind of catapulted me forward. And then from there, I moved into accessories. And then there was that time that we had to all interview because they were getting rid of the manager roles, and everybody had to interview for their director roles.
Yeah.
And that was something.
So you basically are interviewing for the job you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, some people would get it, some wouldn't. And like those interviews were rigorous. They were with 3 different leaders as well as HR. And there was actually a test that was, some of it was even math. It was reasoning. It was project management and how you would apply budgeting to that.
I would find something like that really difficult to be asked. Like, let's solve a bunch of math problems right now.
There's a lot of skills required the further you get up. And like, obviously you're not going to be the best at all of them, but can you be good enough in the areas which aren't your specialty to get you in the leader role?
And to understand and not be totally baffled by the things that people are talking about in
Yeah,
the room
yeah.
you're in, because you're in rooms where people are talking about things that are
Mhm.
it's not stuff you ever thought you would be talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Processes and sales analysis and legal stuff.
Resource management and
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I would
Supply
fail.
chain.
I would fail that test and tell them I just want to go draw pants. At work
And
right
there's
now, I'm
room for
drawing,
that too. There's
I'm
people that
drawing
need to
stuffies
just
and bananas. I'm like, I'm just gonna go draw bananas right now.
all of that is needed. You need people that can
Definitely.
just draw bananas. Sometimes you have too many people that want to be in every room and not enough people that want to draw bananas. So you never know.
I'll stick
Yeah.
to the bananas. So when people are going to design school, a lot of times they're not even thinking about that if they think being design director is just basically that very stereotypical person with the over the top personality saying, no, I want it to be pink. No, more flowers. Oh my goodness. It's just something I wish that more design schools kind of taught early on to kind of be prepared for that.
We would love your perspective on this, Elise. When you think about design myths, that might be one of them. That example you gave, it's kind of like the Devil Wears Prada moment about the belt. People think that is a random comment that she made, and then you get the history of why that belt was important. Are there any other myths or stereotypes about design that you think it would be good to share that maybe just like either it's just not the case or it's a little different than you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think upon entering my career, and I see it with a lot of younger people, that you think you're going to come in and just be like drawing and designing and creating all these things all the time, and that your ideas are just going to be adopted. And it's not that these companies don't want your creative talent or ideas, but like there's the whole other side of the business. There's sales, there's working with cross-functional teams, there's understanding who the people you need to partner with. There's a lot of administrative work. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of validation. There's a lot of getting buy-in to actually get your design through. A lot of it is really how you work with people and how you research and validate your ideas. And I actually think that that's really cool. The administrative side is tough and can be a battery drainer, right? And it sometimes can be hard for people who are like really creative. Yeah. And so how, I try to ground them in that and like, don't get too discouraged if your ideas aren't adopted all the time. It's not personal. And that is a really hard thing to learn over time too. But that's the reality of like, probably not even a corporate design job. That's like the reality of a design job, right? When
you don't get every idea through for sure. It's like there's so much more to the decision making than just how cool something is. And when you think about the creatives that you've led or even your own creative soul, how do you stay resilient? How do you keep your soul and your creativity intact, especially when you're designing outside of yourself?
Like traveling for me is just a huge source of inspiration. The other thing is like all these people that I ever worked with always had creative like side hustles, like jewelry businesses and, making things and jarring things and creating kids crafts and knitting. So there's so many people around to plug into to like either go take a class with or sit with or have a happy hour with to like do something creative.
It sounds like there's a balance of finding moments in your work where you can really let the creativity show up and then also having moments in your side hustle or in your private life is really is what's helping you keep the fire burning.
Yeah. The research portion, I would say can be really creative and inspirational too. So I love that side of it. And that happens whether I'm working somewhere or for myself. So
am I crazy? But for me, I have to say, putting together creative presentations was fulfilling.
It was.
Especially when you're using beautiful images and trying to tell a story.
Yes. Again, that it's like takes you to that place. You're like, oh, yes. And the flow of these colors and like how they work together and the inspiration of the materials. And
like a trend report. Oh,
yes.
Painting a picture, but in PowerPoint.
Yeah, I do love putting presentations together as well. You've been a manager, you've been a director, you've had to lead people. And someone was listening right now who is a manager or director and of a team of creatives. What is something that you found was really helpful to get the people who are more creative, who just want to draw bananas, to get them to keep motivated?
The way I work with my team or my team members is like they're really each individuals. And so what I try to see is like what are their strengths and how do I make sure that we're pulling those out? But also outside of that, like how can you share the way you approach things so that other people's engines and fires can get lit too? And so it's the balance. It's like, yes, you have to do this work. This is why this is important.
Yeah, it's something amazing about having a really well-balanced team because you could have jokers, you can have people that put their head down and work, and you kind of need a good mix. I was in prepping for this. I told Avelle, I was like, Elise, as you know, is hilarious. We are
Mhm.
always just cracking up, on the side, even at work. Working with you has always made things really fun whenever we've been on committees together or had to, work on even product, collections. It's always been really, really fun. But you have excelled as a leader and have really been able to take on really major leadership roles. Have you ever felt like you had to kind of dial back your sense of humor or your personality to be taken seriously? Have you somehow used that to your advantage?
Yeah,
Take on
it's
it.
probably both. I mean, if I just like let myself free fly, it would be wild.
Chaos.
Right.
I have that problem.
um, but I do want to have fun while I'm working. We spend so much time there. And so as I get to know people, I will let certain parts of that out. And that being said, like I will dial it back, but I'm pretty much my authentic self when I go to work, no matter where I work. And we need to have some fun. Like we need to have just a sense of humor. So yeah, like sometimes I'll do it out. Sometimes you just have to laugh and I'm like, guys, we're supposed like let's have some fun. Like look what we're making, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do try to bring humor into it, and even in the hardest of moments, maybe sometimes that's when it's needed the most, that I try to keep it light and be like, you know what, we're going to make it through this. So that's needed for sure.
If you're a fun boss but you're still getting your work done, people are going to want to stay longer, not be
I
looking
hope
your way.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other things that I've often, and it may not be humor, but it's a little more about like being your real self, is like I've said to people who are leading people or have been my team member and leading people, like let people know you, like let them know who you are. That's how they come to trust you more.
I remember being really new to Target and leading a small team, moving from New York and everything being new, the big box thing, the like mass, price points, the folks that are just very different from East Coast folks for lots of different ways. And I probably wasn't as open initially. And it took a little longer to warm up because I was just being very cautious.
Well, if you're asking me about the beginning, I wasn't very cautious. I was just like, yeah, that's not good. And here's why. And people are like, what the hell? I didn't find out until 2 years after, like, I'm coming off as aggressive, I'm offending people. And I'm like, I'm
Isn't
not
that the
swearing, I'm
worst?
not yelling, I'm
You're like,
thinking
what do
I'm
you
doing
mean?
great.
Hmm.
You're like, this is how people talk where I'm from. What are you talking about?
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's the worst. You come off as someone you actually don't think you are because of
Yeah.
just the little sound bites that they get at a work day.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just if the culture of the company or the place or the team or whatever is used to one thing and you're coming in and you're perfectly normal, perfectly cool in potentially another environment, they're just not used to that style. They might feel like it's not right. But I mean, coming from the East Coast, I noticed right away that
Mhm.
people were tiptoey about stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell a quick story, and maybe we can get one from you too, Elise, about a fun moment very early on in my time. And I had a vendor who had promised exclusivity for us for a product idea. I won't get into the details of that. And my senior buyer at the time, who was from the East Coast, he's a New York garmental guy, came out to Target to
Mhm.
kick ass.
Oh, I can smell the cologne already. I love it.
He had a three-piece suit on every day, and he was probably 5'2". He was amazing. He was amazing. He was great to talk to and really just a fun person. But I remember sitting in the meeting and with the vendor, and he told me right before, he was like, watch this. He, he comes in and he slams this item that's a part of this story that was supposed to be exclusive to us on the table. And he goes, "What's this?" to the vendor. And they, said, "Oh, that's our." And he pulled the tag out, and it was the tag for a competitor where it was supposed, it's not supposed to be at the competitor. It was supposed to be exclusive for us. And he was like, "Well, then why is there this tag on it?" And let me just tell you, the room was just, it was wild. It was exciting. I have to admit, as a newer person to Target, I was very like, "Ooh, I'm getting all
Yeah.
the tea that it's wild." And so it was a moment, but culturally very different. No one was ever that confrontational and aggressive in any meeting. So he really kind of flipped the table and changed things up. But let me tell you, they learned their lesson, and I don't think they would have ever done anything like that again. So it probably worked out. But like, any fun stories that you have from your career that just like you just stick out in your mind? Crazy stuff. No names required, no details. We will protect the innocent and the guilty.
I mean, plenty of fun stories over the years. I mean, I think of a few in Europe. Like there was one time I was there with my boss and a couple other people, and we were shopping the whole scene. And that night we went out to dinner, and then we were going to the theater in London, actually. And I got pulled up on stage and was doing this dance in the theater in London. And,
So much bad behavior on travel.
I know.
It's like, so much.
Oh my gosh. As far as like crazy stuff, like while I was in the office, I don't know. I maybe was the worst offender.
You're like, everybody else was same. That means it was you, Elise. You're the one that was doing it
There
crazy.
she goes again.
What advice would you give to your younger self based on some of the lessons that you've learned throughout your career? Hello, Elise, young Elise.
I'm kind of tired of self-reflecting, to be honest with you. I'm freaking over it. I'm tired of feedback. I'm not saying like I will never respond to it. I'm just done.
I'm going to give you some feedback about that.
I'm over 50 now. I've heard it. Sometimes I'll take it in, sometimes I won't. If my teenage me could see me now, you wanted to be a designer and you became one. You set out to do what you wanted to do and you went well beyond that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love how confidence building that statement is, because when I think about my younger self, your younger self, all of that's probably what we needed more than anything, is just to be assured you're not going to do everything right, but you are going to do really well.
And then you've always got like people second guessing you, right? Like I remember a while back, I had a boyfriend who's like, are you really going to be a designer? Like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, get out of here. I care less about what people think. And I know I'm a good person. Like,
Yeah.
what advice do I have? I don't know. Keep going. Like, you're going to do it. I'm not encouraging cockiness, but just believe in yourself, because you're right. It also makes me think of like, for designers or anybody aspiring to go up through the ranks in design, how are you able to talk about your accomplishments in a way that is not tooting your own horn, but being able to articulate them as like, this was growth. I went from this to this, and the scope of my work turned into this, and here's how the business grew, in a way that's really factual and less boasting. Right. That is a skill set right there.
It is. It feels like something that we're all constantly practicing, because people really want to understand your results, not just your ideas. So you said it wasn't about money necessarily, but our show is a bit about money. So even though it's not necessarily the thing that everyone wants to talk about, it is a really strong motivator for a lot of people. So let's talk a little bit about money.
Okay.
Was there a moment in your career where you realized, oh, I can make some money doing this job that I actually like? And you talk a little bit about the money side of things, even though that's not your focus necessarily.
I mean, I think the biggest jump in pay, I had two big jumps in pay earlier in my career. Like one when I went from Briggs to Susan Bristol, and then once when I went from Susan Bristol to Target. And then that's when I was like, all right, this can be a lucrative career. I can make a living this way, like a good living. And then as time went on, even more so. I mean, again, I wasn't a person who was like expecting to make a certain amount, but I would say I went far above what I thought I would make.
Yeah.
Without necessarily aspiring to do so. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I don't think many of us know what the top is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these larger companies like Target and Kohl's, and I mean, they pay way more than a small boutique kind of design role, or even just a small, like I've always worked in action sports, it pays terrible. But when but the pressure is not as much there as opposed to working at a place like Target where you are having to put together presentations, know about the financial aspect, and it's more than just the design role.
Earn that higher pay.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And there's great opportunity for huge bonuses and things like that. And, there's years that you don't either. But the the pressure is certainly there. And like, if you're a leader there and you're over a department, you're responsible for that financial aspect. And when it's not meeting, you're responsible for that too. I mean, money is like, I guess at this phase in my life and career, it's like, how much do you need to feel comfortable and to do the things that you want to do versus like, how can I keep making more? I'm more on the latter. And what's the trade-off of like, you can make exorbitant amounts of money and almost all your time will go there.
Yeah.
Which I just wasn't willing to do anymore.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need all the money in the world, but we do like nice things.
That's right. And I do like nice things. And I can't believe what's been going through my head lately, but this has really been going through my head a lot lately. Like, why shouldn't I have what I want? Like all the time.
Like
who do
Ariana
I
Grande song? I want it. I got it.
Now I'd love to talk about that balance piece. I mean, you've launched On the Horizon. What made you say, it's time for me to do this thing of my own? Have you always been thinking about it? Even explain to our audience what it is.
Well, I think like how it came about. I mean, if you want to talk about burnout, I probably was in it for years. And was actually thinking about leaving Target a couple of years before I did. I just like, it's like I'd be reading to my son at night. Like I'd get the break of dinner and I'd be present for that. But then I'd be reading and thinking about the emails I needed to do at night. And it was just like, I wasn't there. Like I wanted to be able to be present and I just didn't want to be working all the time. And that became really clear to me towards the end. And like, I wasn't willing to do that anymore. There's other factors too of like, were my values aligned as much with the company anymore, or maybe not. Was I buying what I was seeing anymore? No. And then all the stuff was happening with my mom. My mom has dementia and then her husband fell. So here I was trying to leave, get unburnt out, figure out what's next. And then had to go into this situation for the next 6 months of trying to unravel their affairs and where mom was going to live and properties and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
I've heard that our generation is called the sandwich generation. Some of us, like Tanya, really young kids. And then we have parents who are elderly or passing away, and we're just kind of in the middle. And right, you're thinking about that email at 9:00 at night where you should be thinking about what your kid is doing right now. And it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's also like, I think this pivotal moment where probably since I turned 50 become really apparent and like, how do you want to live your life? And it's always been in the back of my mind that I wanted to start my own company, but what did I want to do? I brought watercolor paints with my son. He was always an early riser and I didn't want him to be on the screen until the pool opened or whatever it was that we were doing. And so I'd say, let's go out and paint what we see and go collect things and study where we are and see all these beautiful things. And so it started there. And so as I was like, I just want to create this kit that's like this magic memory box. And I knew what it was like in my head and I started to sketch it out. And then I'm like, I just want to design something start to finish that's mine. So that's the reason I created it.
Have mine right here.
And what a journey it was, because I did the packaging and mine is right here. Mine's more my sister says, how is yours so crazy?
Yours looks like it's been worked on. Here's
It's been used.
jars that it comes with.
Yeah.
So beautifully designed. Like I have to say, it's probably one of the most high quality things I've ever owned.
Thank you. And I'm so glad you have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing it upside down. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Well, one, the logo is gorgeous. And
Thank
then
you.
so here's the kit. And you pull out these drawers. Here's the brushes. These are really good quality brushes. I specifically did not use it until we had this podcast because I was like, I don't want to mess
You're like, I want to keep it clean.
And here we go. And then here's the tiny little baby canvases. So I love it because it's a gorgeous piece of product and you can travel with it. It's compact. It's going to outlast anything else you have in your suitcase. I'm going to bring it with me for our trip to Paris, Tanya. And we're going to do projects.
I think about painting in a cafe and
I'm going to get a beret.
what are you going to put in your foraging jar though? I mean,
you can just pick up some cigarette butts.
Honestly, that is an art project I've always wanted to do. My first stint when I was in Paris for a semester, I wanted to get a giant tube and just pick up all the cigarettes off the street and just to show people like, dude, pick up after yourself.
Oh my
It's an
gosh,
installation.
love the humor in that. Well, I was just in Maine, and so I did a number of paintings.
Ooh,
These are just a
wow.
few of them.
They're so pretty
Collections.
on their own. Yeah.
Other thing that I love when I'm traveling is making a little palette. This
Mm.
was last year's Maine palette that really kind of captures the colors that spoke to me on my travels. And I think color is one of like my cornerstones of why I love design so much.
Yeah.
That there's something that's just like color is a mood enhancer. So like when we talk about wellness and paying attention to the colors that you love, that there's something inherently pleasing and uplifting in that.
Yeah. This is exactly what we wanted to talk about. I mean, On the Horizon specifically is as much about art creation as it is about wellness. And it's really amazing that you're able to marry those two. When you think about the future of art as wellness, what are you thinking?
I go into such a flow state when I'm using my kit. And this is probably true for anyone when they're creating art, that like that in and of itself is so good for you. I think it was Martha Beck, and is she like Oprah's coach, who mentioned like when you're in a flow state, you cannot be in an anxiety state. It's just you can't be in both of those at once. You're creating your own world. You're paying attention to the things that you love that are inherent to your own self-expression. And the way you see things matters. What I've come to find is that the real moments of satisfaction come when someone sends me pictures of their kids or themselves using the kit, and they're having that moment together and they're like embracing the beauty around them. If it makes them feel more immersed in nature and creativity and being in the present moment, that feels like success to me. That's the purpose.
Could I get into some of the nitty gritty about your product? Because so you had the idea, you wanted to make an art kit. Did you hire somebody to come up with the mechanics of it?
I sketched it out myself.
Sketched it out yourself.
I sketched it out in pencil first. It's made out of bamboo because it's more sustainable and it looks really nice. The paints, I selected myself the paint colors and actually went through multiple rounds of having them matched, Pantone matched with the vendor. Same thing with the canvases and the quality of that. And the paintbrushes and the sizes of the paintbrushes and making sure that the drawers slide in and out and what the pull is.
Was it all supplied by one vendor?
I went through Pietra, and they do a lot of e-commerce, and actually like they can help you build a brand. They can help you launch a product. You don't even have to design a product. They have AI. They have people that will help you.
How did you find them?
Just researched online. And then the more I read about them, and then I'm like, okay, I'll do a trial for like, you pay for like a 3-month trial of like, and so I just got into it that way.
You give them your initial idea, your invention, right? And then they do all the legwork of finding the materials, the vendor, costing, and then you pay a fee towards that. That's amazing that there's companies that just do that.
Even as you're talking today, where I'm discovering how much care went into every detail. When we had our trip where we brought the kit and really helped foster our creativity and got us into the mood, we called out messy moments. There were some very messy moments. Your kit was perfect, but we were the messy.
We weren't perfect. we went foraging on the side of a road, and we were going to be road killers now.
We're like, it's about to be a messy moment with us on the side of the road.
Yeah. Gonna get those leaves. So I think we're at the point of our podcast. So we play games on our podcast. Did we tell you about this?
They're always a little bit of a train wreck, so don't worry.
It's the prize for the person who's made it this far in our podcast. Welcome to the Unfiltered Game Show. This is unhinged and unabashed, where 3 apparel industry insiders get real, raw, and completely unfiltered. Get ready for 12 questions that will dive deep into the heart of the apparel world and beyond. All right. Question number 1, behind the scenes chaos. Tell us the most unhinged and unexpected thing that's happened to you during a normal workday.
There was one time where I was in the office and like our boss had pulled us in, me and 2 other of the design crew. And he's walking around like talking about like, the things that we need to do. And he farted. And he didn't even acknowledge that he farted.
Did you say he farted?
He just kept walking and talking, and we were all looked at each other like,
We were like, you just crop dusted us.
yeah, yes,
Wait a
buddy, like,
second.
what the hell? Yeah, we'll get the work done, but I'm out of here. So,
And he didn't say anything. He just kind of farted and
no,
walked
he
away.
just
That's
There you
pretty
go.
unhinged.
pretty hilarious. Yeah.
Okay. Apparel faux pas. What's the most embarrassing apparel faux pas you've ever made in designing a product? So was there something that you had to kind of work on and, months later, like, "Ugh, what was I thinking?"
I mean, there was one where we did like this back to schools when I was working on undies and just
Youth.
think, yeah, back to college, back to school, like rah rah, and on the front of it said "Easy Tiger" with
Oh,
like a tiger on it. I don't think we realized like until
putting his on underwear.
afterwards, like how probably inappropriate that was. And I don't know if anyone called us out, like from a consumer perspective, but meant to be more like think varsity jacket with like a tiger on it, but that being on the front of an undie was just like.
Did it sell like crazy though? Because I could see people
I
loving
think
that
it
joke.
probably did. Yeah, I think it did pretty well.
So
Yes.
perfect to my next question. Your director superpower. If you could have any superpower when it comes to leading a team, what would it be and why?
I think how to keep them inspired to be doing and giving their best work. It's something I try to do, and I think sometimes I depending on the person can reach, but other times like that's why I think like the personal approach to each person is so important. But too many times, and especially right now in the current environment that we're living in, like people are just kind of quiet quitting, they're burnt out, and like how do we keep their fires ignited so like they're bringing like amazing new innovative ideas that are still saleable to the table and like feel really excited to be at work. I feel like that's a superpower.
That really is a superpower. I've had amazing managers that keep you going, keep you inspired, and then ones that are just like, just do the work. And it's harder to find new people.
There's a fair amount of people that actually just want to know what they have to do and then go do it.
I would love to add one last question as the final face-off. That's what this question is named because it's kind of funny. And just as we're wrapping this up. And so this is the scenario. Imagine, if you will, you are stuck on a desert island. No internet, no stores, and you can only bring 3 items to thrive and survive with. What are those items and how will you style them to make sure you still look fabulous while stranded?
So when that boat comes,
you're looking good still.
Like a ratchet.
Because that's what we care about, right?
Mm-hmm. You don't know who's on that boat. And they're not going to save you unless you look cool.
No pressure.
Just like life. just like you're applying for that job. They're not going to take you unless you look good.
These are real life skills we're talking about here.
I'm probably wearing the set that I'm wearing right now, a gold chain and some killer shades. I love like being comfortable, but also like, feeling put together. And then I always have, I don't know, just a little bit of street in me. I do love a good pair of Adidas pants. I will always love those. Straight up like, what's the one with Matt Damon and Goodwill Hunting? Yeah, I mean like a tracksuit. Oh,
I mean, that's a trend that I am so cool with coming back. I'm just like, I love a good wind pant. Oh,
yeah. Wind pant with a nice cashmere sweater and big hoops and chains.
It can go either way though, because if you see a guy in that outfit,
this is for women.
Guy in a full tracksuit and a gold chain, maybe go
the lady.
Yeah, I do like taking a lot of the colors that I find on my travels and inspiration. Then I start wearing them or I start buying them. Mm-hmm. So you are your own trend instead of, let me see what comes up in the algorithm. That you're more connected with your own style.
I'm more like that. It was buy clothes that were 3 sizes too big and so shy. I would joke that in college I looked like Pee Wee Herman with a D cup. Like I just was like, I shy. I wanted to just kind of just be like, don't look at me, like, and just like be, boyish looking. And
I'm gonna make sure we post a picture of you in college because you were gorgeous. So no,
thank you.
People will be like, Pee Wee Herman, where?
I can wear what I want now. I'm not afraid to wear bright colors or things that fit me the right way, or
Yeah.
I
I love,
definitely the freedom that I have now with myself, I wish I would have had when I was
yeah.
young, like, I wear my hair natural. I, was straightening it my whole life, because I was like, I feel like I look like Slash all the time, like, which I love Slash.
But you
Don't get me
don't.
wrong, my first
Not
crush
at
for
all.
sure. But you don't want to look like that. I didn't want to look like that at 12 years
But
old.
if you have a really good top hat, you'd be fine.
I did have a top hat. Yeah. I was slashed several times.
Oh my
Halloween.
gosh.
I do find I have more energy when I wear color
Mhm.
and that I get more compliments. And I think you just have a better day. I don't
We all meet up in
Elise.
Paris. Let's wear our tracksuits and
Ooh, we have to have an
know.
outfit.
Ooh.
yeah, I'll get some acrylics.
Ooh, and put on my clip on.
Mhm. We
Yeah.
won't be allowed in any store, but
They'll think we're famous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, lady, it was so good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I
A
appreciate you
blast.
guys having me. It was so much fun. I launched about a year ago in the holiday season. That was the best time frame for me. So great holiday gift, but I will tell you, if you're having a wedding party and you want to make it more memorable, it's great for that. If you're having a retreat, if it's great corporate gift, great birthday gift, all of the above. And there's discounts for those that buy more than 5. I really appreciate you having me on here and taking interest and engagement in my product and my business. I hope it grows into a brand all around
I
travel,
hope so
wellness, and
too.
art.
Well, we are the hosts of She Makes Art for the Money, Tanya and Yvelle, and we had the pleasure of having Elise Atkinson, design leader, entrepreneur extraordinaire, on our show. Thank you again. Honestly, it's been a blast.
It's been a blast for
Yeah.
sure.
And stay tuned for more arts and creative people on our podcast. She Makes Art for the Money.